Well, hey there folks, and welcome to another episode of Learn BMX Racing. This episode is a review of the Yucca Valley BMX track in lovely Yucca Valley, California. And you may notice that I am not wearing my typical Learn Your BMX Racing. Learn Your BMX? That's not the name of it. You think I'd know the name of my own project. Learn BMX Racing jersey. Instead, I have my Olympic jersey on. This is all of the Olympians that have participated in the Olympic Games in BMX since the start of the Olympics. And today happens to be the 4th of July, so I figured this was an appropriate jersey to wear. And let's get started the way we usually do with showing you how to get here.
For those of you who have seen Learn BMX Racing track review videos before, you know that the easiest way to find a track is to come to the Learn BMX Racing website, and you click right here on BMX Racetracks and go to Map of United States BMX Tracks, and that will show you every single track in the whole country. So let's make this full screen and take a look at where Yucca Valley BMX is located. So Yucca Valley BMX is in Yucca Valley, California, which is in Southern California, and you can see the track is right here. So it is a little bit east of Los Angeles. It's a little bit east of San Bernardino, and it's kind of southeast of Victorville and Hesperia. And if you're familiar with Palm Springs, it's pretty much just north of Palm Springs. And right here you can see the 62 running east to west. And we have the 247 running north to south. So those are the main roads that you would use to get into Yucca Valley. Now, unlike a lot of tracks, which are, often nestled in some weird area and kind of difficult to find, Yucca Valley is actually very, very simple. It is right here at the corner of Sunland Drive and Sage Avenue. That's where the entrance to the track is at. Now, see this green marker right here that says Yucca Valley BMX? That's totally wrong. That's actually somebody's house. I don't know why the map says that. My marker here, the blue one, is correct. So let's switch to the satellite view so you can see that's somebody's house, so don't go there. You want to come up here to Sunland and Sage, and you just pull into this huge dirt parking lot. And that's where you park to go to Yucca Valley. And if we come in here a little bit closer, you can see there's a gate that's right here. Okay, it's sort of on the southeastern corner of the track facility. That is the gate that you walk through to get to the track. And that's pretty much it. So like I said, this is a very, very simple track to get to, a lot easier than some other tracks that are out there.
Here is the sign that is at the end of the parking lot. So you pull in there, and as you can see right here, there's a whole bunch of trucks that are parked in the parking lot getting ready for the big race on this lovely 4th of July. So if you go all the way down to the end there at the right-hand side of the screen, you end up right here. And this is the actual entrance. So if you go through this gate right here, that is what gets you into the facility. And then once you go in through the gate, immediately to your left, there are these porta potties right here. So there's a lot more of them than there usually are because it's a big race day, but that's still where they're typically located. Then if you walk all the way down, you can see there's a few bleachers there to the left-hand side, which overlook the last straight. And when you get all the way to the end, to your right-hand side, there is this observation deck. Right there, that blue building is the sign-up booth. And then as you look over to the left of the sign-up booth, directly in front there, you see the Strider track and the hill that goes up to the start hill. Now you notice to the right, there's that fence up at the top. That is kind of a nice area to overlook the entire facility, which is where this footage is being shot from. I absolutely love this view, and it really allows you to see the entire track and kind of the beauty of the valley stretching out underneath. And I'm just going to let this footage kind of roll without my narration to give you a feel for the start of the race day.
The game's all here, man. I know the underdog's going to swing by and say hi to me here. It's good night like that. That's right. We go back a long ways, underdog anyway. Yes. Is it how? Does that mean in it,
Here we have some sponsor banners for SC Backhoe Services. We have Fred's Tire, and then we have High Desert Air, and then these final two are the Valley Independent Printing and Diversified Heating and Cooling. Always like to give shots of the sponsor banners because they help out the tracks a lot. Let's do another shot from the hilltop, and this time I'll give you a little bit of narration. So we have the Strider track right here in the foreground, and right behind the Strider track you can see the wall that has been added just very recently to the second turn at Yucca Valley. And if we come over towards the finish line, over this way, again, we can see the sign-up booth. So, the nice thing about the layout of Yucca Valley BMX is that it's so simple. A lot of tracks, I have to sort of tell you about the little quirks and the nuances of it, but Yucca Valley, as you can see from this shot, is like I'm standing in one spot and you can see the entire facility and really understand where everything is at. So we also have these bleachers up here at the top of the hill, and that's one of the more popular places to watch races from. And we've got a good bike rack right there. There's also the announcer's booth, and of course the start hill is right to the right hand side of the announcer's booth. We got a good shot of people taking practice laps around the track before the big race, and unfortunately I didn't get a whole heck of a lot of practice laps myself because I was doing things like shooting this video. So, but that's okay. I don't mind. I have a lot of fun shooting videos like this. It's nice to kind of preserve the memories of the day through doing projects like this. And, it gives you a nice overview of the track for all of you folks who could not be there on this day. So, there you go. While we're on the topic of checking out the race, let's look at a good shot of the bleachers. So these are the bleachers over the second turn, and you can see why this is a popular spot, because you really can see the entire track really, really well from this angle. So a lot of parents and a lot of family members and friends do tend to hang out on these bleachers during races. It's also very popular to be down there by the last straight, but this is a really good spot as well. And then just to the right of the bleachers, we have the announcer's booth, and just to the right of that, of course, is the starting gate. So a really good spot, gives you a good perspective, good overview of everything to be up here on the bleachers. And yes, the bleachers are actually painted like the American flag. if you were standing over the top of them, you would see the red, white, and blue and the stripes and everything. It's a pretty cool idea. So this shot is actually from inside the announcer's booth. And you can see here it's an even better overview of the track. It's a really good place for the announcer to be watching things and checking stuff out. They got a very clear shot of the finish line as well as all the turns and all the straights. So as we come over, panning over to the right, we will then see the start gate, and let's check out a few of the starts during practice.
We almost got the track. That's good. Good. Yeah. That would have been a trash can instead of a can.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate. Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Oscar's in the house. The Daltons are here.
Okay, riders, random start.
Sure.
Riders ready, watch the gate. Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Nine dogs in the house. 2 more minutes to the big guys. 2 more minutes to the big guys, and we're going to run over to the little guys one more time.
Okay, riders, random start.
Yeah, this is where we all hang out. Oh, check you out.
Every time I do a review of a BMX track, I always like to interview the track operator so they can tell you a little bit about what it's like. Now, the track operator here is a mystery woman named Carrie, who didn't want to be on camera, but her daughter was willing to say a few words.
Hi, my name is Kylie Pettit. I'm 14 and my mom is the track operator of Yucca Valley BMX. And being one of the tracks that's kind of a ways out there, it's kind of nice. You don't have a whole lot of people, but the people that do come out are definitely strange, but in a good way. And overall, it's an easy track for beginners, people learning how to jump in manual, and even for me, still trying to learn how to send bigger stuff. It's a simple track, and it's a good one.
Kylie is actually a really great rider in her own right, and in fact is one of the first girls that I ever saw racing when I first got into BMX. In addition to Carrie and her daughter, there is also a volunteer out here at Yucca Valley who is very special because he is dedicating an enormous amount of his time to making this track bigger and better. And that is a gentleman named Travis. Now, Travis is one of those kind of people who's very humble about all of his efforts. He doesn't like to take a lot of credit, but I think he deserves it. So here's a few words from him.
Hey, my name's Travis Hill. I am one of the volunteers out here at Yucca Valley BMX, located in Yucca Valley, California. What I do out here is I help maintain the track and help with the operations of the track. This last year alone, we've moved over 60 tons of dirt, reconfigured the track, and maintained it to a much higher level of BMX racetracks.
One day when I came out to help Travis and Kylie with maintaining the track, I saw him doing this, which I called the slurry hill sweep. This is a very unique, unusual way of maintaining the track that I've never seen anybody else do before, where he really saturates the track, kind of rakes it, and then saturates it again and smooths it out with a broom. And I gotta say, the results of this technique are really phenomenal, and it works incredibly well.
And continuing to move forward with our plan and bringing in more races, more racers, and getting the word out to our community. Our main goal is to improve the safety out here, the rideability, and just make it a family fun, family friendly place for all to enjoy.
Speaking of family, Travis also races along with his sons. Here's an article in the local paper talking about the improvements they've been making to the track, donations from Whitewater Rock Supply, and they really gave a lot of dirt to the track that they could fill stuff in and kind of smooth things out, maintain stuff, put a nice limestone kind of coating on the track. This project, the lighting project, was enormous. You can see how great the track looks at night, all these great LED lights that they have set up, and they had a grant from the city to install all of this, and they got it installed just a few days before the big race. They had a lot of help from Hale Electric and Gary Ward Trucking. They're the folks who delivered all of the telephone poles that the lights are actually mounted to. And then here's some of the guys from Hale Electric and a few shots of them putting all the lights together, getting everything wired, using the truck to put the lights up. So you can see it's a ton of work. Here are some of the walls, the retaining walls that this Whitewater Rock was helping to put up around the facility. So a few of the retaining walls were set up by right next to the sign-up booth right here, which created a nice little observation deck kind of thing. And, you know, this kind of effort, this kind of work is why the track operators are always asking for people to help and people to volunteer. I mean, it's not a whole lot of work for you to show up at the track if you're a parent or even a racer to, you know, water the track down or maybe help to score at the end of the race, because you can see here the effort they put into fixing up the Strider track. You know, this is a ton of work that these guys do. So it really functions best when everybody is helping out. Right here you can see them tearing apart the last turn of the track, which they completely rebuilt. Obviously, again, a massive amount of work. You can see, I mean, this isn't something that you get done in one afternoon. You know, this is days and days and weeks of preparing things and fixing things and maintaining stuff. So they really put forth a ton of effort. And hey, you know, for those of you who think that it never snows in the desert, oh, check that out. I know that has nothing to do with maintaining the track, but I had to show you these pictures too, because on a day when it was 105, this was just something I could not fathom.
We have improved our facility, improved our family area, improved the track's maintenance, and just the appeasability and the visual appearance of the facility. Our next projects are to include the lighting, just to improve the safety for our nighttime races under our nice cool sky out here in the high desert. So come on out here to the Yucca Valley BMX track, give it a try, check it out at least one time. If you got some positive input that you'd like to shoot our way, let us know, and we appreciate it and hope to see you out here soon.
Now let's get to what is always one of my favorite parts of making these videos, and that is the kind of walking, riding tour of the track. So this is coming up through the entrance area. As you can see to the right here, there's that retaining wall and that kind of observation deck that I was talking about. During this race, they set up the snack bar over there. And if we look to the left, we can see the finish line. And if we come back Looking to the right, we see the blue sign-up booth. And then directly in front right here where that kid is sitting on his bike, that is the Strider track. We can start to walk up the hill. And if we look to the left, we see the bleachers and the bike rack. And then as we come up this hill that comes up to the start hill, you notice that fence there along the back. Well, if you look to the right, like right here, that was the original start hill many years ago. And you would ride underneath this wooden plank. But now, all of the staging area and all the staging lines are right here. And just in front of this, now this is the new starting hill, which makes it a little bit easier for beginners. So this right here is my one and only practice lap that I did this day. Again, I just didn't have time because I was shooting so much video stuff, but I did manage to get this one practice lap in. So let's check this out.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So we get to the first jump, which is kind of a double and kind of a step up and a step down thing. And then we get to the second jump, which is kind of just a double with a big flat top on it. And then we get to this first turn and we come whipping through there. And then we get to this jump, which is also sort of a double, but it's got this really long straightaway. And then there's this, which they call the super straight because it's really long and straight. And then there's the next jump, which comes into the second turn. And then we come into the rhythm section. And it's a pretty good rhythm section. It feels like it's kind of uphill, which is sort of weird. But anyway, once you get used to it, the rhythm section's cool. Here's the turn that was rebuilt. This is the third turn, which is pretty darn good right now. And then we have about 3 sets of doubles. We got a double right there, and then we have a double right here, and then we have this double that comes right to the finish line. And there you go. That was the practice lap. A little too quick for you, huh? Okay. Let's slow it down. Let's do the walking tour of the track. So this is one of the things that I really enjoy sharing in these videos. It's kind of long, but it really gives you a nice overview of the track. And, you know, some folks watch these kind of videos from all around the world, and maybe you'll never get to Yucca Valley, and this is kind of your vicarious way of experiencing it. So you can see right there how that first jump, it's kind of a step up, and then it's sort of a step down on the back side of it. So it's like a triple, but it's a weird jump. I don't really know how to describe it. Then we've got this long bit of flat bottom right here, just a long straightaway, and then we come into the next jump, which again is kind of like a drop deck tabletop. It's sort of a tabletop, it's sort of a double, and sort of not. I don't know, but people who are really good can clear the thing. And we come right here into the first turn, and the first turn is actually it's unusually skinny. You know, most first turns on tracks are pretty wide. This track narrows up before you even get to that turn. And then right here, we have a double. Again, this is a very long double. This whole track tends to have extremely long doubles. But you can see that kid right there just cleared the entire thing, which is pretty cool. And after this long double, we have what they call the super straight. Now, this part of the track actually used to have a roller right in the middle of it, but they took the roller out, so now it's just this very long, straight, flat section where you can build up a whole lot of speed. And then we get to this jump, which again is almost like a step up, step down, but you can see the back side of the jump is kind of really mellow, so it's just an odd shape. It's not odd in a bad way. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not complaining about it. It's just a little unusual. It's not something I've seen at most tracks. So there we have the second turn, and we come into the rhythm section next. This is a really nice rhythm section. I have to say that I've ridden this track about 3 times, and I like the track a lot more now. After the 3rd time, I started to like it a lot more. It's kind of a strange track in that it feels like it's on an angle. So, like this straight right here with the rhythm section is actually kind of going uphill, and that makes it very difficult and really not fun when you're not used to it. But after riding it a mere 3 times, I've kind of gotten used to it, and it's not so bad now, and I kind of like it. Really, the trick to riding this rhythm section is to make sure you're going really, really fast before you get into it. So you got to make sure on that second turn that you really power through that second turn. And if you do that, then the rhythm section is no problem. But if you're going too slow coming out of that second turn, the rhythm section will completely wear you out. So here we have the 3rd turn, which again was just rebuilt, and it's pretty good. It's probably the least smooth part of the track. This entire track is just buttery smooth. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's got the nice limestone kind of covering. You'll notice how pale the dirt is. It's almost white on the straightaways, and it's more of a darker tan in the turns, and that's because all the straightaways have this limestone. So right here we can see the basically 3 sets of doubles that are in the last straight, and after that we are crossing the finish line. So there you go. There is the walking tour of the entire Yucca Valley track. Now, I will also tell you that this track, one thing I really appreciate about it is that they have flag laps every single night. And the first time I was here, I actually was invited to do the flag lap. And it scared the heck out of me because I was so afraid to drop the flag. Thank God I didn't, and everything was fine. But this is a pretty cool version of the flag lap.
Now presenting the United States Marine Corps Color Guard.
Slow, slow.
Once the flag lap is complete, we move on to the racing. And here is my first moto where I got to staging late and I missed my gate. And there they go. And there's my gate that I'm not riding in.
I totally missed my gate.
That was your gate?
That was my gate.
Allocation out in front.
That's all right. I'll just go around
Here
it.
we go. We got room for two. Allocation in the 320 bike. 320 bike is full.
So I ended up going around the gate so that I could at least still get into this moto. This day was actually a Gold Cup and a state qualifier all rolled into one. So there was a lot of points for this race, so I didn't want to get a did not finish. So I was like, all right, I'm obviously I'm getting last place since I didn't start until they were about halfway around the track already. But at least I still finished, so I still scored some points for the first moto. Needless to say, this right here, the second moto, I was ready for this one way in advance.
Got the 126 bike, Williams, on the SoCal Flyer in the P spot.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
This is one of those races where, you know, I was fairly close to this guy who was in front of me, and slowly throughout the course of the race, he just got further and further away, and I just could not catch up to him. Right here through the rhythm section, he's really starting to pull ahead a lot more. Gained maybe a little bit on him there, but then, yeah, by the time we're coming through that last turn, he's way ahead of me. But I did manage to finish second, and therefore I made it to the main.
Looks like the Christian Spider out in front of this one.
And here is the main just after dark, and we can see those really cool lights look totally awesome.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Oh, the subject. There we go.
Now let's take a look at a little history of Yucca Valley BMX, and we'll take a look at what the track looked like in the past. Now, this design and layout that you see has been the layout for a very long time. The track really hasn't changed the layout in about 11 years. So let's look back at some older versions. Right here you can see the track in 2018, and as you can tell, again, it's the same layout that we have today. This is a view of the track in 2016, and again, everything is pretty much the same. This right here is a little bit earlier in 2016. Again, not much different. Back in early 2015, again, pretty much the same. One thing that you'll notice that is a little bit different on some of these older ones right here is there's this tiny little roller right here in the second straight. That's not there anymore. Now this is just all flat and smooth. That's one thing that's a little bit different. Here we are all the way back in 2012, and again, it's pretty much the same layout. Nothing's any different. Now, back in 2010, the most dramatic difference you can see here is this shipping container, which right now is located in this area. This was actually blocking
the top of the old start hill. And this right here is the old start hill, and this right here is the current start hill. And that changed in the past as well. But you'll also see that there's no strider track. There's a little strider track that's right here today, and that was not there back in 2011. Going back to 2009, we have a really blurry image, but you can still make out the outline of the track and see that it's exactly the same. So here we are back in 2006, and here you can see Yucca Valley had a very, very different layout. You can see right here that the original start hill is actually being used, and riders came all the way down this incredibly long first straight, and then we had a 90-degree turn. The track kind of looped around like this and back in on itself. So it was a really drastically different layout. And up here looks like we had a few bleachers up in that section. 2005, pretty much the same as the 2006 layout. Now here in 2004, again, a really different kind of setup. We still had the original start hill. It came down, and then it had this kind of gradual sweep that swooped around and came up this way and swooped back. And yeah, not at all like it is today. This is very, very different, but it looks like a pretty cool, unique layout. It looks like it was probably a lot of fun. Now, if we go back to 2003, again, kind of a blurry image, sort of hard to see this, but you can tell it's kind of like the track is laid out today. So we had the original start hill. It came all the way down. It looped around, hooked back, came up this way, and then swooped down and came around this way, which is, you know, very similar to the way the track is laid out now. Looking at an old 2002 picture, again, hard to tell, pretty blurry, but you can see the basic shape of the track and see that it's kind of similar to what we've got going on right now in 2020. This is an image from 1996. I have no idea what's going on here. Here we have the track from 1995. Now this is really difficult to see, but it kind of looks like pretty wild. It looks like it came straight down at a 90-degree turn, then what? It swooped back this way, it came up here and around like this, and then it had another kind of S turn right there and came out. I don't know. This image is so so out of focus, it's hard to tell what's happening there. 1994 looks like there really wasn't much of a track, and in fact, if you look at Sage Avenue here, it's still a dirt road. Back in 1989, there definitely was not a track here at all. And Sage and Sunland were both dirt streets, so things have changed quite a bit since then. As is tradition with all the track review videos that I do, let's check out how long this track actually is. So let's go from right there, which would be the very start of the starting gate, and we'll come down the first straight. We'll come through the first turn, second straight to the second turn, come down through the rhythm section, come into the last turn, and cross the finish line, which is, yeah, it looks like it's right about there. Right there is the finish line, which is 953 feet. So, again, these measurements obviously are not exact. If we were to, let's say, take the shortest possible line through the entire track, right? We're going to come like on the inside of this turn, and then we're going to, I mean, it's impossible to actually do a line like this, right? But if you could, if you could do something that was this tight throughout the entire race, then the distance would be quite different, right? We would have about, let's see, if we come in here, let's tighten up this side, and then there you go. It's almost 50 feet shorter, right? But this is a line that is not practical, that you would never do, so we'll stick with 950 feet as the average length for Yucca Valley BMX.
Well, folks, that about wraps it up. So, here's all the pertinent information that you need to get out to Yucca Valley BMX. You got the address, you got the days that they're open, and the contacts, and all that kind of stuff. And as always, if you're heading out to a BMX track, make sure that you check online, make sure that you call the track operator and confirm that the track is actually open on the regular days. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, and sometimes they're open on other days as well. So it's always good to check, and it's always good to ask ahead of time, because you might be able to squeeze in a few extra races there if it's a weekend and something special is happening. You never know. So now you have all the information you need. All you need to know about Yucca Valley BMX. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Learn BMX Racing. Now you know exactly where Yucca Valley BMX is at and what the track is like. And remember, folks, as I always say, your good old days are happening right now.